Hello everyone, this is the third video lecture series, Chapter 7. The last topic we covered in the second video mainly was about how to show uh, dialog box in our program if we wish to have more than one form. Uh, Basically, we talked about two type of dialog box. One of them was the modal and modeless. Modal is always on top, meaning if you open a window as modal window, you can have access to the parent form. However, in modeless, as soon as it loads, you have access to the parent as well. Moreover, we talked about the uh, the the way that these two modes basically runs is slightly different. In show dialog, which you don't have access to the parents, the code after show dialog wouldn't execute as long as the dialog box is open. And but if you use show, which is in a modeless mode, the statements after show method call is executed. And if you recall, we had an example here. Let me get back to the here. We had this example. I put this statement here and I tested for both of them. And of course, the code is there and you can test it yourself. In show dialog, this line x plus equal to 10 wouldn't execute until you close the window. And then if you comment this one out and then run it for frm message.show, you'll see this line executes and finish. Then the show, basically the window loads in the memory and you completely and you can see it and it's visible to the user. Today, and also we talked about two type of closing a window. Basically, one of them was close, the other one is hide. You should know the difference between them. Close remove the entire window object from memory. However, hide, it just hides that from user and it's still there, but it's not visible to us. And when we ran this program, we had this demo. You see the difference between them because sometimes you have some data on your child window and you would like to preserve that in those cases, instead of closing the window, you just hide it, but still window is in the memory. Or if you have a form with great amount of data on that and it takes time to be loaded, you don't want to by closing or opening or closing every time, and you don't want to give that delay to the user. So in that case, you load it one time, and if user doesn't want to see the window and it closed that, basically you hide it instead of closing. So that way, that window is still preserved in the memory. And next time, if user calls to see the content of the window, doesn't have the experience or is delaying, or user don't see any or don't feel any delay. And we wrote some code on that, some demo I showed you last time. If you reviewed the code, you'll see there. So this frm message, which is our child window, I put it as a global variable. Then we use the new keyword in order to call the child window in the message click where we're showing the window. And after that, if you close the window, so if you are run it, let me run it, and then that makes more sense probably. So when you click on the message here, and then the child window will show up, this line get executed. And here, if you use the hide method basically hides the window instead of closing that. So here I don't use me.close. Here I use me.hide. So that would mean the window is still in the memory. So if I use show basically loads the window that already saved or is in the memory. To prove that, you could say if I put anything there and then I hide that, and if I say show demo, it'll show you the data again. However, if I hide it and then say message again, you see a fresh window comes up. Another way you can justify that is because in message, basically, again, we use a new. New means a new memory, chunk of memory or address that we assign to a message that newly created. So no longer the previous one is in use. So these are the review of the last time. Now we are going to continue. Today we are going to talk. I'm going to talk about a little bit more in detail about the forms that we're going to use, about the form cycles, life cycles. There are some other events involved in form. So far we are familiar with events. We know what event is. For example, in button, we were able to click on it, and click is an event. Some other events, like for example, checkbox is checked, and so on and so forth. We already seen that. I'm going to talk about four more events for window or form, which is really useful to know it. The most important one is load. Event load. Load is a default event for any form. That would mean if you and the same as click for button. So if you double click on a button without selecting any event from list, the click event will show up on your code page, and that's also the same for window. Load means as soon as you call a window that needs to be shown up for a user, as soon as that form loads in the memory, the load event will be called. And this is one step before you see the graphical interface of the window. That would mean, so because the loading process, the time you call a window till the time that it's the graphic renders and you can see, there are several steps involved with that. So exactly one step before it shows you the window on the screen, this event gets called. The main usage of this event is for initialization of the values, for example, or controls. If you remember, the combo box that I showed you a couple sessions ago, I used the property page of the Visual Studio in order to fill it up. But in reality, when you would like to do that, and usually we put all this code inside the code, we don't set this property through the property page. So the best way to put it, or the best place to put it, is in the load. I think the best way to explain that is in the code. So in order to call the load event, let me here open the Solution Explorer, and I select this page. So here I have the window, and I select the form. Then in my property list, by clicking on this icon, which is event, it says events. Clicking on that, you see the list of the events. The default event is load. As you see, it's just already selected. Of course, any other event, if you would like, you can select it. Just put your cursor there and then double click. You see the main load is there. Okay. In order to test it when this window is fires, when this event fires, the rest is I'm going to put a message box here. Show. And I put here load event is called. And if I run the program, as you see, before my main window shows up, this line get executed. And then when I hit OK, the window is there. So that would mean this event, before the rendering finishes its task, or the graphic part of the window does a task, it's there. In order to give you a better idea how we can use that, I would like to get back to this window, and then I'm going to drag a combo box there. As I said, it's this event is really suitable to initialize the values of the variables or some of the controls that you need to initialize that. Last time, as I mentioned, when we used combo box in the demo, I just in the property box you could use the items there and then add your items there. But this is not a right way or best way to do it, because usually, first of all, the item comes from other sources like text files or a database. Second, usually programmer prefers do everything within a program rather than using this property page. So in order to show you the capability of that, I can get back to the code. I'm sorry, I forgot to change the name of the combo box. I just call this CMB cities. Then I'll be back here and I begin to fill it up here. C cities dot, was it add, or I think it was items, same as other. Does the add, and I'm going to add, sorry, here back. So let's say Colombia. I'm going to add another item here, CME city dot items dot add. Let's say Greenville. Okay. So this is two cities I added there. I'm going to comment this part out, and then if I run that, so these two are happy. So before this window shows up, so that tells me several things. The thing is, yes, the graphic is not rendered, but the object is the memory. There is in the memory. Therefore, this part can be executed. And then after this load event finishes its task, then you can see the final version of the window, which form, which is a combo box change here. So you can see that. Or even I can enable or disable any buttons and so on and so forth, any checking, any changing color, and so on and so forth. So you could use that load event. The next event that I'm going to talk is activated. If you want to understand activated and load, activated, it's more or less same as close and hide in that sense. So activated means the window is already in the memory, but it's not visible. And when we make it visible by calling either show or show dialog, the activated event get called. So this is useful for type of window that you would like to make some changes on it. For example, you hide it, and then when you want to make it visible to the user, you would like to reset it to, excuse me, to the default. And so this is useful in that sense. So if I were to give you an example on this, I'll be back to my child window, and I'm going to call this time the activated. And then I'm going to say here text box, what was the text box? Txt test dot text equal to activated. Okay. So now I'm going to run this. So I have this nice combo box. Then I'm going to show a new window. Well, yes, activated. So as you see here, after I have it in my memory, this one is just showed up. So let me close that, and once again I show you activated. Then when I hide that, okay, and I put the breakpoint here, or let me put it in the second line, and then I use this show demo, which is basically I hide it. Now I would like to bring it back. there. So this, as you see, it just gets executed, and then, sorry, and as you see, it just keeps going there. Okay, this is the difference between this one and the load. Activated, it just keeps calling itself because this window is always that rendering. Basically, it happens. It just checks whether that window is in the memory or not. That's why this window is just keep calling itself. Okay, so if I keep it there and then run that, you'll see it's there. Then I can change the content of that. I'm going to hide it, and I showed demo again, and as you see, it just gets back to the activated. Now I'm going to stop this. There are two more events left here. One of them is closing and the other one is closed. I'm going to stop it right now, and then I'm going to explain it in the next lecture. Thank you so much. Bye.